Hi, this is Ash, and this is my springtime flower type look. Please like and subscribe if you like seeing my videos or you like this video. Thank you. So I'm going to start off using the Jumbo Milk pencil from NYX, and I'm putting that on my brows. I totally look like an old man. I used a spoolie to make sure it went through my entire brows, and then I used the ColourPop cream liner in Boots, and I put that on my brows. Everything looks kind of funny at first, but I promise it semi comes together anyways. The angled brush I'm using I got at the Dollar Tree for $1, and it's a Wet n Wild brush. It's not too bad. I like it. I do find it a little difficult to clean. I don't know why, but I feel like all the product gets stuck on the bottom of the bristles. I used the BH Cosmetics Trinity in Tokyo, and I used the shade Emoji, and I just packed that on top of my brows as well. To try to make these videos shorter, I decided to only show you one eye. I half-assed tweezed the ends of my brows because they've been needing to go anyways, and I used the Essence liquid liner pen. I don't know what the shade is on my brows too. I just didn't show you in the recording. I used the Pore Essential Hydrating Primer on my face. I got that in BoxyCharm. I would never buy it because it is not cruelty free. And then I used my BH Cosmetics foundation, which is some of my favorite drugstore foundation of all time. It works really well for my skin type. Anyways, I just used that and I put it all over my face. I do realize that a lot of people don't put foundation on their eyelids, but I do. I don't know. It's what I like. If you don't like it, then don't do it. I also realized that this brush is not really meant for foundation, but I also like using this brush for my foundation. So yeah. You will see people such as my children entering in and out of my house. They are going to the front yard to play on the trampoline. So I'm using my Infallible Full Wear foundation concealer in the shade Porcelain, and I am putting that on my under eye and eyelid. Sometimes I find that using my fingers to press it in and put it on makes it more full coverage and sits better, and yeah, it melts it kind of into my skin. So I'm just using my fingers right there. I use the Ciate Everyday is Vacay or whatever it's called on my face for setting powder. I really like this stuff. It smells good. It is very fine, so as you see, it got all over my shirt. So be wary of that when you use that product. This palette is new to me, and it's a blush palette by It's Likely Makeup, or I mean Likely Makeup. And I use the Rose Quartz shade on my whole entire cheek, temple, forehead area. I love that palette. I love that brand. I love Jordy. Yeah, and it performs really well, so I'm excited. I use the shade Level Up from the Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, and I put that on my transition area, my brow bone, my above my crease, I guess is what that area is called. And then I used the shade Game Over and placed it on my inner and outer eyelid area. I've swatched this palette, but this is my first time using it. I was very happy with the performance, and so yeah, I just go back and forth adding those two colors and blending out. Then I went into the Zulu Juvia's Place palette, and I used that pinky shimmery shade. I don't know what its name is. It didn't pack enough punch, so I went into my Kaleidos palette, Neon, and I used the Easter egg, I believe is what it's called, on top of that for more of a punch. I used the Clown Blush by Likely Makeup in the shade Carousel on my cheek area to deepen it up. I then used that brand's lashes called Sliced on my eyelids. I used a Wet n Wild eyeliner to line my lid area. I then used It Superhero Mascara for my lashes. I got this in BoxyCharm a while ago. I used a Halloween edition Wet n Wild highlighter palette called If You've Got It Haunted on my inner corner of my eyes and my brow bone. I then lined my waterline with the NYX Jumbo Milk liner pencil that everybody has. I then used Carousel and I put it underneath my bottom lashes. And this is an eye safe palette as well. I then used Easter Egg from that Kaleidos palette for the bottom of my lash line, and then I used the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara for the bottoms of my lashes. This is a Wet n Wild paint palette, and I just used the darker pink shade in it to start to outline the shape of the flowers. I'm sorry the view sucks, but anyways, I just did a very simple, typical flower shape. And yeah, I then took the lighter pink shade and started to fill in that flower. And I feel like that took forever because the pigment isn't spectacular in this palette. I mean, it works, but it is a little bit more greasy and shiny and not as opaque as I would like. I then took the dark pink shade in that palette and started adding some lines all over the flower to give it some dimension. And I switched back and forth a lot in between those two colors and that light purple as well. And I also end up using a Mehron Clown White paint to add more dimension to the flower too. I used that Clown White and added some dots in the center of the flower. And this is pretty much the process I use for every single flower that I do for this look. And yes, my hair is a hot mess. It is almost long enough to be put in a ponytail, and I am so fucking ready for that day to happen. I got this in BoxyCharm. It's Dose of Colors glazed lipstick. I didn't like that color for this look, so I went into a Dose of Colors lippy that I had, and I put that on top of it. And because when I wear lipstick, I carry my lipstick everywhere with me, the bottom of the shade name is gone, so I can't tell you what the shade name is. I'm just using a Revolution highlighter all over the areas that I like to highlight normally. I used the Fairy Blush palette, Rose Quartz, and I put that on my bottom of my lip, like underneath it, not on my actual lip, to give more of a pouty lip look, I guess. I don't know, I just felt like it needed to be done, so I did it. I then used like this Soul Body Glow stuff, and I put that on my chest to give it a little bit of a glow. And this is me just doing the same thing to each flower I add to my chest area. This look took me about 2 hours in all, which isn't too bad, but it is kind of a process adding these flowers. Oh, and instead of using the lighter pink shade to fill them in, I ended up using the darker pink shade to fill them in and then went with the white on top. I really like the lashes I got from Likely Makeup. Again, she doesn't know who I am, but I like her and I like her makeup stuff. This was my first time using it and it all performed really well. Those lashes were very easy to put on, so yeah. I do realize that you can see the ends of my brows some. I eventually later that day end up just tweezing them all off because I've been wanting to do more of a straight brow look in general anyways. But if you have more bushy brows than I do or don't want to tweeze the ends of them off, use a, glue stick and some concealer and powder and just block them out and then start drawing your brows on first. I am a little bit nervous now because I have no ends of my brows, so I literally have to do my brows every day. I do not wear makeup every day, you guys. Like, I wear makeup twice a week, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, just on Saturdays and Sundays. If I had more time and a less sweaty job, I would wear makeup more, but I don't. I have a very physical job and I like sleep, so that's where I'm at. Hopefully, everyone is staying safe and indoors. I'm still working. It kind of scares me a lot. I have a high risk person in my household, but you gotta make money too, I guess, to live. So I'm reporting to work every day. By the way, I really just used that Wet n Wild paint palette with the dark pink, the light pink, the purple, and the Maroon white. I went into the Likely Makeup Clown Blush palette and used the shade Carousel, and I just added that in between the petals for a little bit of shading and dimension. When I sat down to do my makeup, I had no idea what I was going for or what I was going to do, and I kind of picked up pink and went with it. Spring is my second favorite season, and so I just went with a spring type look. I'm having a really hard time right now. My mom is my running partner and she's out. She ruined her knee. And with this quarantine crap and being stuck inside and limited access to people, yeah, I'm not doing so hot. So I wanted to do something that made me feel happier, I guess. So I just used another one of those Wet n Wild paint palettes and I used the darkest brown in the palette and I just started putting branches on my chest and face where I felt like they needed to go. I had no thought process to it really. I just did it wherever I wanted. If you hear my kid talking, I'm sorry. After making them thicker and thinner in areas that I wanted, I went into a Marehorn, or however you say it, black grease paint, and I just added that to the bottoms of the branches just for a little bit of shadowing. And then after I was done with the black, I went into the Clown White by the same brand and I added it through the branches where I thought, I don't know, some highlighting would occur. I decided I needed a flower on my forehead, and so I started adding the flower, and I basically used the same colors and the same process I did with every flower I have done so far. And then felt like the look needed some glitter, so I took some cheap white, like, I don't know, it's just a white glitter, and I just added it all over the areas where there wasn't any flowers or branches, and I did it pretty sloppily. I put a little bit on my face, not as much as I had put on my décolleté area though. I then used the Naked Holographic palette. I used the pink shade out of there and I highlighted my cheek area, my nose, my upper lip, my collarbone, and then I went into my Likely makeup palette or fairy palette, and I used the rose quartz shade, and I darkened up the bottom of my collarbone. Then went into Sunstone out of that palette, and I contoured my nose a little bit with it and around my nose to kind of give a little bit of a button nose appearance. And I highlighted my lip with that same highlighter from the Naked palette. I don't know what I was doing or what I was thinking, but I took some fake teeth and I colored them pink and put them in my mouth. I didn't like it, so I took them out, and that is my finished look. Thanks.